report card on Dunlop's new control tyre in Adelaide was pretty good, but let's ask the drivers now they've had time to think about it. We'll start with Tony Longhurst. It seemed to me that nobody really had much to say at all about the control tyre, which is like a referee. If you don't hear about it, it must be good.
No, they're just great. I was really concerned. I thought after running on the Bridgestones for a couple of years that we were going to make a step backwards, but it's not the case. The tyre's really consistent. It doesn't wear out. There's just no complaints from it. And very consistent in the racing. I think it's actually going to close the field up a bit.
And yet it's quite a different tyre to the Bridgestone. I mean, from all reports, it's a vastly different compound, a lot harder tyre, I've told. Is that right?
It's black and round.
Kryptonite. You can't
It's made out of kryptonite.
It is. Larko did 75 laps on a set of them in Adelaide, and they've still got the stickers on, haven't they?
That's Larko's throttle control. He does that really nice.
Are you running
Traction control?
traction control?
I mean, Billy, they're a harder compound, and I guess the real testing will be at Phillip Island in a couple of weeks' time, because whilst it was hot in Adelaide, I mean, ambient temperature doesn't necessarily take a toll on tyre like a circuit like Phillip Island does. But talking about tyres, I mean, just for the purpose of the viewers' benefit, you'll notice that a few teams actually have Dunlop stickers on their car, and that doesn't mean for a minute that they get any different tyres to the rest of the field. Saving that, we did note that Stephen Richards obviously had different tyres to Russell on the weekend. What do you have to say?
Are we ever going to hear the end of this? No, you're right. Can we just bring it all on now, right, and just get it over with?
What's it like having a new teammate, Russ?
Richard was saying to me what a handsome-looking devil you are with makeup on.
Yeah, right.
Well tanned.
Yeah, I've just come from the
Well tanned.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, mate.
Says you're a strong worker.
Tyres, obviously they worked pretty well for you, Mr. Scape.
Well, look, certainly I think everyone has been surprised and pleasantly surprised by how good the tyre's been. It's a lot different to drive on. It's probably not as linear under brakes. The car sort of moves around a bit more sort of tram-liney. And you can't drive the car sort of as hard as before. You've got to coax the car to go fast, which is good. It's a lot different in the way the tyre feels compared to a Bridgestone, but pleasantly surprised.
Considering you gave him a bit of a spray initially.
Well, the ones I actually drove on, Russell, weren't the ones that we've actually got now.
Do
you remember that? Do you remember that?
I remember a press conference at the Grand Prix. You said, the second race they won't hang in there at all.
Well, what I actually said, you weren't there for the next bit. Were you there the next bit? Did you make the podium the next day?
Oh, okay. Actually, I was on the podium on Sunday.
This was Friday or Saturday you're talking about?
Friday.
It's too hard for you to remember that far? Anyway, as part of that, the tyre has been very good. Thanks for coming, Russ. It's been great having you. Thank you.
Mr. Dunlop, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what do you think, Mr. Dunlop?
Absolutely brilliant tyre. Dunlop, #1 in tyres. No, they've done a great job. I mean, they got thrown in the deep end. I mean, they had to come up with something very quick, and they pulled their finger out, got the tyres over here, and supplied the whole field so quickly within a couple of months. It was a great achievement, because you've got to remember, there's a lot of tyres. I mean, there's
something like 8,000 tyres.
I mean, huge number. That's a lot of rubber. Yeah.
We should explain the selection process, because all those gags about the Steve Richards tyres, there's a big wall of tyres, and you walk in and you can pick your own tyres basically. So they're actually selected for you. So no one does get you pick that tyre up there, that one there, that one there, and there. I mean, basically in a wall of 200 or 300, you get your 8 tyres, or for the weekend there were 16. So there's no doubt that the way that the selection process is fair, and Russell's cash for comments thing is not even an issue.
Murph, no one made a huge deal out of it before the race, because frankly they didn't have a choice, but there was a lot of, I wouldn't say concern, but wonder at whether the tyres would last the 250k races.
Well, I was when all this started to happen last year and tenders were going up and that kind of thing, I was a bit worried, because Bridgestone had done such a fantastic job, and I don't think we should forget that. For 3 years they did an awesome job, produced a fantastic tyre, and we didn't have any problems with it. So for someone else to come in and build another tyre to put on the cars and find that we don't spread the field out and destroy V8 supercars because everyone's struggling, I think has been testament to Dunlop. Have done a great job. So, and the tyre is very durable. We've been able to go testing on it. We've got plenty of rubber left on them to go testing, and they're not wearing out.
Unfortunately, it's made it harder for a driver though, because the times are so consistent and they do carry on throughout the race, you can drive harder. And that's why I think in Adelaide, I was expecting it to be no harder than last year. This year was definitely harder in Adelaide, and I think it was because of the tyre situation, because you could press on the whole stint each time if it was physically a lot harder.
Lucky
I
you're on
think
the
there's a
big
couple of
bucks, eh, Ross?
unanswered
Absolutely.
questions with the tyres. One which Larko raised, which will be the places that are known to be high abrasion that knock a tyre around like Phillip Island. The other interesting thing will be what they're like when it's really deathly cold.
Yeah, like Canberra.
Yeah, and that might be interesting to see what they're like. But
Especially when you don't have a chance to warm them up.
yeah, so far
coming
so
out of the
good.
pits, you know.
Yeah, I mean they'll certainly be durable. There won't be any problem there. But on a cold track, when you've got to go out and punch out a one-lap qualifier or the opening lap of a cold race, you might just.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day. That's
No,
what, that's
it's the
what we
same
want to
for
see.
everybody.
We want to see the cars moving around a bit.
Yeah.
And I think we saw, for the first time, we actually saw a hell of a lot of passing in Adelaide. I think that's one thing that you have to note. There was a lot of passing going on, and that's what we want to see.
always
Well, it's
been a lot
tyre
of
and the character of the
passing,
track. I mean, it's certainly now, like the hairpin, for instance, is a longer braking area now because you're going faster. So essentially those things, whenever you can have that, in terms of a slow corner being at the end of that and have a long braking area...
There was still more passing than last year.
The test. Oh, I don't know about that, but I reckon the test is going to be. Well, go back and watch the tapes and tell me how many passing there was last year.
Too hard.
But
Well, you
the
haven't
big
got
test is going to be when we go to Phillip Island.
Yeah, well, and Wanneroo also will be a
that's
test.
going to
mate.
be. That's
There's
you know,
not a
that-
lot of passing at
it's the
Phillip Island
fastest.
normally.
It's also the fastest track we go to. The cars get loaded up more than anywhere else, any other racetrack. And so that's going to be a huge test. And depending on the weather that we have down there at the time, I think that'll be a huge test for the tyre.
Certainly, the prophets of doom were very wrong, weren't they? A lot of people were saying, "Oh, this could be a problem," but that's not been the case at all.
Scafey, can I just ask you, did you change your car much for this new tyre, and could you share with us the detail of exactly what those changes were?
I'll tell you what I'll do, Larko. You can even have a drive in my car if you tell Australia who your co-driver is.
All right, I think we'll take a break on
Hang
that
on, Billy,
note.
I want to say... I'm in.
It's nice to know there is a feeling of security about that situation going into the next round, because heaven knows that the teams and drivers have enough to worry about going into each particular round of the V8 Supercar Championship. After the break, we'll have a look into the future.